Hi, everyone. I'm glad to have you here. Thanks. And I hope you're as excited about this as I am. I've enjoyed reaching out to most of you and talking to you. And from what I've learned, you guys have a lot to share and you have a lot of things that you want to say and a lot of great experiences. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. And I know the group is looking forward as well. One of the things that I wanted to kind of start with is to kind of tell you how we got where we are, how Classic Conversations actually started and how it got off the ground. And it really comes back to our experience as a manufacturer. And as an experience as a manufacturer, we've always taken our responsibility very seriously in that the information that you share us over the years, whether it's about products and about services, that we distill that information and then we then send that information back out to the group. And sometimes it's things like the development of exhibit design search, other times it's new products like Symphony or charging tables, all those things. We've always felt like we're kind of that central hub. And as you share information from us, it's our responsibility to then share it back out to the network. But what we've learned over the last couple months is that most of us are kind of on this island and we are yearning, we're desperate to talk to other people who are in similar situations. And as we've chatted with you, you've told us that you really want to connect with one another. And so that's why we launched Classic Conversations. And the response has been unbelievable. The number of people who have wanted to join. So this is a great time. It's very exciting for us to be able to facilitate this for you. All right, let me talk a little bit about the guidelines. I sent those out to you. I'm not going to go through all the guidelines, just going to talk about a couple of them. There's some obvious ones, obviously, be civil, be respectful. The second is you are in control of your camera and your mic. So be sure to mute and unmute yourself as you want to talk. The next is it's easier just to kind of raise your hand like this when you want to speak rather than using the hand on there. And both Jim and I, who's the co-facilitator here, will look for you and for your hands out there. And we'll try to be as let people talk when they can. The last one, well, the last two. One is before you talk for the first time, if you'll introduce yourself, just say your name, where you're from. And the last is let's try to stay away from landmines. And I think we all know what those landmines are. Things like politics and religion and politics and really politics. All right. So let's try to stay away from those as much as we can. All right. In the email that I sent you yesterday, there was a link, and if you had a chance to click on that link, it went to a YouTube video, and it went to a scene from the Blues Brothers movie. A show of hands, how many of you have seen the Blues Brothers movie? All right, looks like everybody has seen it out there. All right, if you clicked on that link, one of the things you saw in there is that's the first gig that Jake and Elwood had, and they walk into that bar and they approach the bartender and they introduce themselves. And Elwood says to the bartender, he says, "What kind of music do you typically play here?" And she says, "Of course, we play both kinds of music, both country and Western." Well, I think if we look back 8 months ago, we would have all thought we were well prepared for any kind of economic situation that came our way because we had a wide range of products in our arsenal. We had portables, we had modular, we had various services. We were well positioned in order to withstand anything that came our direction. But I think we've all discovered that that's not quite true. So our first question that we're going to talk about today, I'm going to throw out today, is what have you learned since March that your business truly needs, obviously, other than customers? So who wants to start? Kind of raise your hand. All right, Jen.
I can't hear you.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm Jennifer. I'm with Pro Expo Exhibits in St. Louis. Honestly, I wish that we had an in-house marketing and or PR team because I feel like we've gotten a lot of business off of social media, yet that's not our thing. Like digital marketing, not our realm or something we've ever really participated in. And so trying to learn that and trying to figure out how to tag yourself and tag your projects, the things you are doing so people find them, is really hard. And I'd rather someone else do it for us.
So, but you were doing social media before this, Jen. So, I mean, it just been, I mean, what's different now than before?
I don't know. The whole thing is so weird. Obviously, this whole situation is so weird, and how we get clients. In the past, we relied very heavily on referrals, literally client to client. And that always did well for us. And when we started down the path of social media, it was really out of general need. Everyone else is doing it, so we need to do it. So we look like, you know, our stuff is out there, our information is out there, our projects are out there, but we really never, I don't think, invested as much power behind it as we are talking about doing now and trying to do now. We thought over the last few months, our existing clients would be our sort of bread and butter in this weird interim time, and that has not been the case. I feel like several of our clients kind of have gone to sleep, and there's this new breadth of clientele that we never even considered or thought about or needed, because we had this group that was so reliable. And trying to reach them. And what we're finding is, I mean, and I think I mentioned to you last week, we had some guy call last Friday who somewhere, somehow found something we did on social media and tracked us down. Like, that's a lot of effort there to figure out how to connect with someone. And we've had some really good interactions on social media, which it just, for whatever reason, I don't know if more people are on LinkedIn or on Facebook, or people are just conversating more. I don't know what the change is. Maybe it's the change in clientele, but it's just been a really interesting shift. And I know it's better. So us trying to learn that and how to maximize those conversations and who's seeing it. And, you know, even our conversations about protective barriers, can we target a certain market, clientele? You target these people and you leave these people out. And so it's an interesting education for us, for sure, on that front.
Well, I think one of the things for you, definitely, Jen, is that you guys have had some success with protective barriers out there. Has anyone else, are you found that your client mix is different, or at least the client mix that you're reaching out to is different?
Yes and yes. You know, at the very beginning of this all, we sort of sat down and literally had a spreadsheet going of who could use these things. And it was, okay, what are all the museums in St. Louis? What are all the schools? What are all of this, the that? And we had all these spreadsheets going that we would use for email blasts, just using Constant Contact. And that's really what it started with. And we're sort of into these ongoing sales now with some of the schools. We just had another one today that contacted us back and said, okay, well, we need some more. This is not what we thought we would be doing. And we really thought they'd be one-off sales and one and done and off-the-shelf type things, and they haven't been. So I feel like everything we take a guess at, how someone's going to want something or what they're going to want, it completely ends up being something different, which is great, but it's just, I don't think we can really fully anticipate what people are needing. I don't know that people even know what they need. Yeah. You know, I think that's constantly changing.
Yep. All right, does anyone else want to comment on that? What have you learned since March that you feel like your business probably needs now, that kind of 2020 hindsight? Francine, how about you? Oh, Jerry, go ahead.
I kind of thought that we were going to be really busy with the restaurant industry, and indeed we set up our website in such a way that the website actually did generate a considerable amount of traffic, and we got a lot of requests for partitions in the in the restaurant business. The problem that we have is at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you offer them. It's too much money for a lot of these restaurants. They've been closed for say. I'm in Canada. I'm in Montreal. So the restaurants, over the last 6 or 7 months, some of them have been closed 3 or 4 months before, the whole takeout thing started picking up and they were able to re-gear themselves. So we guessed right that this was going to be a need, but we didn't factor in the fact that there's the desire to have and then the ability to acquire that are two questions that need to be asked. So I think it's important. What I've learned from this is when seeking a new market, it's okay to identify a place where you can be, but then can the connection be made and can the transaction conversion actually happen? And I'm realizing with restaurants, at least for now, no. I mean, we've sold some, but not near as many as we've quoted. Our conversion rate is very, very low. However, at the same time, factories. We've had 1 or 2 conversations with factories who actually have a promise of even more volume per unit than say a restaurant that might need only 5 or 8 or 9 partitions. Factories could have as many as they have employees in the factory. So that's an interesting little new discovery as well.
That is interesting as far as factories, because I don't know that we've had many requests from factories. Much of what we've gotten has been along what you mentioned, restaurants, schools, medical facilities, a lot of those, and also, some corporate offices, more kind of high-end corporate offices. Yes, go ahead, Francine.
Okay, can you hear me, everyone? Yes.
Francine.
Hi, I'm Francine Brooks. I'm with FP Displays and Designs. We're in Buffalo, New York. And Gary, I'm originally from Montreal, so it's nice to hear someone from Montreal. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet everyone whom I've connected on LinkedIn. I agree a lot with Jennifer. I wish I had a different database than I've had in the last 26 years in business, because my clients, no matter how many calls we've made and how much email we send to our current database, they're not responding quite as well as when now we're looking at schools and organizations that would need our services or our products, our PPE products. So I think we're all pretty much the same boat. And I agree with you as far as restaurants. We've quoted restaurants, we've quoted gyms, and it ends up, some of them actually just put up see-through shower curtain instead of using an acrylic or some of the more sophisticated acrylic barriers. So we've had some success in some areas, but I think we're pretty much all in the same boat. It's not revenue producing to keep us going for a long time. But I think we're all trying to do the same thing. And like you probably are all getting so many email blasts from all kinds of organizations. And so I'm concerned sometimes that our email marketing might get lost in the shuffle. So we're trying to be a little more inventive and creative and try to appeal to emotions as opposed to an actual product. So that's what we're working on. Emotion, that seems to be the thing that appeals to people more right now.
So Francine, how much of it, and Jerry, I appreciate your perspective. Francine, how much of it, when you're reaching out to folks, is it really about budget, or is it because they simply don't understand the concept and they don't understand what those kind of safety barriers really cost, or do they even see those as a serious long-term investment?
I think everyone's thinking that they're only going to need this for a month or two, and they feel that it's not worth putting the money into it. And I'm sure all of you have been to restaurants. We're on lockdown pretty much here in New York State. And I was at a restaurant last week, and I didn't see a lockdown atmosphere at all. There was no dividing, nothing in between the tables. There were some at bars, but it almost looked like they were self-made, that the business owner actually just put up a piece of acrylic and either glued it down or knocked it down, and that's it. So I think maybe chain restaurants might be more receptive to having something that matches everywhere, but in small Buffalo, Western New York, it's not as lucrative as it could be. Yes.
Lori, I
Jerry?
know that yes. Lori, I know that you spent a lot of time reaching out. Kind of what's your perspective on some of the things that you've learned since March?
Oh gosh, a lot, obviously. The biggest thing for us is what I really feel like is kind of shame on us. We've put all of our eggs into marketing and trade shows. All of our eggs are in one basket. And our database is all VP of marketing. It's all marketing people. And all of a sudden, to make this about face and this huge shift to try to get a hold of facilities people with whom you have no relationship. Even when we've been introduced by our marketing contacts into those facilities people, they've already got relationships with people. So we've really struggled in that whole space. Interestingly enough, as Jennifer said, we've got a couple of new clients, one of them being a very large healthcare insurance company, and the other being a local news station that are very large, that are reordering PPE stuff from us, and it came from social media. So they were people that I knew or that were connected to me, that had a connection, and they said, oh, hey, I know this person that does this. So, I think from our standpoint, we really learned that we need to be focusing on multiple departments always within our customer base. We need to be focusing on facilities. You guys have the same capabilities that any other company that's building custom reception counters, retail kiosks. We've done, actually during this time, we picked up a small CBD company, and we've been building custom retail fixtures for them. So from our standpoint, it's an issue of really needing to understand that we need to diversify and can't be, we say shame on the companies that have one really big client that is 90% of their business. We're doing the same thing. We've got one really big market that is 90% of our business. So we've been trying to make those kinds of shifts. Of course, the problem for us being a very, very small family business is it's just us now. There's not anybody left to help us with those efforts and getting out there and getting that word out on the street. I am talking to people, and I really believe people are craving human contact. And when I get someone on the phone, holy cow, it's amazing. We have these just long conversations about all sorts of crazy things. And I'm hopefully planting seeds and building relationships with these people that I have more than once. I've had somebody say, hey, we're holding off through the end of the year. I'm like, yeah, well, we're holding on through the end of the year, but we're holding off through the end of the year, and call me back in January. So I'm hopeful. And, I'm a glass half full. My husband, who's my business partner, is a glass perpetually empty kind of guy. And, we balance each other pretty well. For those of you that know David, you would understand that. But, we're both hopeful that we're going to hang on, and we're going to continue to evolve and continue to, but it's about relationships still. It's still about relationships. It's not, mass email marketing for me. This is just one girl's opinion, is not doing it. Because I can't remember if it was Francine, if it was you that said it. Somebody said everybody's getting these emails, tons and tons of emails. And it's like LinkedIn. Holy cow, I'm so done with LinkedIn. Every time you connect with somebody, you get their pitch. No one's building relationships anymore. And I think that's how we can make a difference.
All right. Yes, Jen.
I'll second that about the relationships. And I think that is half of what our success has been in this, and that, you know, we started with, like I said, this small sort of target database of certain people, throw a dart and see what sticks. And any conversation we've ever had has been the same as our approach has been with exhibits: consultative. Let me understand what you need. Let me find a solution that fits your need. And, you know, we're not here to price gouge you. I mean, we've taken anything we've done, our margins are super low on, but we want to help you. And, you know, I think that speaks to the appeal to the emotion, and then these people trust you. And some of the referrals we've got off social media, especially in the schools, has been, oh, I saw that on that school's Facebook page, and, you know, teachers are connected. Well, I want that too. And they just know this person had a good experience, and they're coming right to us, and they're not going to through other people.
Hey, Tess, the company you work for, the Walker Companies, they have a pretty broad assortment. So when you and I talked, you felt like they were not as restricted as far as the opportunities as we went into this. Can you share that a little bit?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Go with my sound. Yeah, we've been really lucky because we do have these other divisions. And as she was talking about the facilities managers and things like that, well, our sign division calls regularly on facilities managers, builders. And by the way, the building industry, we get all the bids for every new that's built anywhere in Oklahoma. And that has not slowed down an ounce. It's just amazing. But the other things, the building facilities has allowed us to increase a lot of our display type items, like all of the windows and everything you can possibly imagine at Norman High School, Norman, Oklahoma. It now has just been totally revamped. We've done all the way up and down walls, windows. We've even wrapped a couple of buses. So we have been able to take some of the large format printing that we would normally be doing in a display environment and put it into buildings and schools and directories and different things like that. But I did like the idea, and we sell kiosks, and I don't know why I don't go out and try to look for that business, but I need to. But yeah, we've been able to. The other side is that our one division, our display division, you know, they got an out of order sign hanging on the door because there is nothing going on. The first thing we lost, a very visible loss, was when the Oklahoma City Thunder shut down that day because they had people with COVID, and they're one of our largest accounts. So that killed us in our display division.
I think one of the funniest things you told me, Tess, and I want to share it with the rest of the group if you'll elaborate on it, is that the Walker Company manufactures rubber stamps. Is that correct? I didn't know that was still a market, but you're telling me it's still a pretty big market.
What's amazing, Mel, is that I was kind of a snob about it when I was in the display division only. It was like, oh yeah, well, guess what? They keep up with the other divisions. It's just amazing the number of notaries and notary stamps and seals and things like that we sell. We're the largest notary. We sell notary. We help a person become a notary and submit their information to the Secretary of State and get them their books and all of that jazz and their stamps. And in doing that, they sell as much as one of my better display salespeople. It's just amazing. And we've been doing this since 1951. We've been in business for a very long time. We started out Walker Stamp and Seal, and we made pencils. We even made pencils, and I found one the other day. It was probably one of the only pencils that exists that we actually manufactured. But and we still have some machines, and we have some things in our lobby now with the old, I don't know, it's a gigantic piece of furniture with little seals and things that you pull this one for an A and this one for a B, and you put it together and make a stamp. So yeah, we go way back.
It's funny you should say that, Tess, because you said you were kind of a snob, and when you told me that, I felt like I was a little bit of a snob too, as far as rubber stamps.
But you know what? The phone rings 500 times a day. 498 of them are for stamps and seals and notaries.
Wow.
Even now. And even now, I can go to a chamber event or something and say, Walker Companies, blah, 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 and they'll look at me real funny, and I'll go, Walker Stamp and Seal. Oh yeah, I got my notary there. I got my name badge there. So even to this day, we're known for that, and we're not known for the signage that we do and the display items that we sell.
Hey,
Not getting there.
thank you, Tess. Hey, Larry, what are you finding out there? I know when you and I talked about a week ago, you were actually visiting a museum.
You do museums.
So Larry, you're still muted. Let me unmute you, or if you can't.
How's that?
Perfect.
All right. Yeah, that museum project, it's not been awarded yet, so it's still alive. But this is for the, and there may be someone in this conversation that's also bid it. I don't know, but it's for the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. Don't know. The thing's been in the works for 2.5 years from what I've heard. Anyway, our situation is pretty much like what everybody else is saying. What's holding up? Well, nothing is holding up very well for us, but it would be things that are not related to trade show. We've sold a couple of exhibits. In fact, you guys are building one of them as we speak. But it was really sold last year before the COVID thing hit. And it's just taken this much time to get it worked out. So I don't see much difference. May I throw out a question? And it's not for debate now necessarily, just to put it on your calendar. I was made aware yesterday that the Consumer Electronics Show is going totally virtual.
Yes.
You knew about that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. At some point, it'd be nice to discuss that, or not. I don't know.
Did you have a few clients that went to CES, Larry?
No, I'm just concerned about. I hadn't heard much about virtual trade show recently, and then that thing came down the line, and I figured that's about as big as it gets,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if anybody else is thinking along those lines and what it means. I'm going to sit in on the meeting that they're having tomorrow to discuss. You probably are too. Are you sitting in that meeting?
Which meeting is it?
Consumer Electronics there's a chat tomorrow.
Oh.
I can send you the information on it, but they'll be talking about how they made their decision to go totally virtual. So
Okay.
I know I'm taking you off track here. I'm not. I
No,
apologize.
that's fine. Actually, if you want to share that with me, I'll share it with the group, Larry.
Yes, please. Be glad to do that. Thank you.
All right. Jennifer at Lab, I mean,
Yes.
what's your perspective?
On it, well, definitely with CES, I understand why it's going virtual. We can't even get over into the country, and everybody's, from China and Japan and Europe going over to CES. One thing that I did find out that was really interesting today was SHOT Show is still really persevering, and they want to go forward. And they just recently sent out like a letter saying, please, sign this. You are going to be maybe exposed to COVID. Don't hold us responsible. So to me, that was interesting that they're going forward even with that form. So that's just another sign that I think if we can get SHOT Show off in Las Vegas, it's going to be a big hope for us, definitely. And one of the other things I wanted to talk about too was everybody was talking about the marketing. That's something we have been pursuing at Lab, and we did hire somebody to help us with our social media. We really needed that help. One thing I have been using is LinkedIn Sales Navigator for my sales team. And it's amazing because you can talk with presidents, marketing managers, and there's so many people that have been let go from all of these positions that you're able to define groups of people that you want to contact and just have conversations with them. Maybe it's not for work today, but maybe it's for 6 months from now. So that's something we've been doing. And my new business manager, she's already up to like 1,000 contacts on LinkedIn where she's having conversations with people. And I mean, I'm blown away. I did not realize the capacity that you could use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It wasn't something we needed to do, but now it's something we are. But it's definitely look into it. It's not that expensive, and it's, you know, to reach people, get new contacts. I don't know. I can't say enough about it, to be honest.
So what's the difference between Sales Navigator, Jennifer, than just having the paid version of LinkedIn, or is that the same thing?
It's totally different. So you can actually connect with, say you wanted to go, you just want to look up people in healthcare. So I want to look up all the presidents in healthcare. It pulls, and you can pull up a company. It will pull up everybody at one company, and you can try to connect with them. You can build your lead lists. So maybe you don't want to, you know, connect with them right now, but you can start building lead lists of all these people, and they are current people. So, you know, it's better than cold calling. You can barely get a hold of anybody. This is a good way. And you can even just reach out and say hi, or, you know, just come up with something and just start a conversation. So like my new business lady, she already has like 20 different groups going of just lead lists of people that she's talking with. And it's, you know, I don't know if it's, you know, not great for right this second, but definitely great for, I'd say, you know, 3 months down the road or 4 months down the road.
And I know you guys have continued to kind of focus mostly on the trade show portion of it. Have you guys broadened out into other things, Jennifer?
Virtual reality. You know, we do have some clients. It's our bigger clients that they have been doing the virtual reality. Just maybe as an add-on to like a particular show, say it's like a CES show, you know, and they just want to do something a little extra, where you bring in their booth, you talk about the different offerings they have, things of that nature. I mean, I can't say we're blasting it out of the water, but we do have a handful of people that have been doing virtual with us.
All right. All right. Anybody else want to add something to what you've learned since March? Julie, how about you? Yeah, I'm going to pick on you, Julie.
Okay. I'm Julie. I'm from South Star Exhibits in Houston, Texas. And nice to meet everyone. I kind of echo what everyone's saying, is that, you know, unfortunately, our staff is small, and we're a small company, and we've gotten smaller since this happened. And yes, I'm a fairly new employee here, less than a year. I have a lot of experience in the industry, but this is a new company for me. And just the fact that we've always relied heavily on the existing customers. They're great customers, and we without the trade shows, we're capable of doing the other things, custom and the PPE business, but it's just, we don't getting out there and finding the people, or them knowing that we can do that. And social media also not my strong point. I'm trying to learn and need to get better at that, but just don't have the resources.
All right. Chad, you took a very different approach than some of the other folks here. Would you care to share?
Yeah, guys, and I'm sorry if it's windy. I'm on a vacation with my wife, first one we've had in 3 years. So it just so happened to land right in the middle of this conversation, but I didn't want to miss it. So I'm with ExhibitTrader.com. We're out of Dallas, Texas. We actually made the decision to kind of reel everything in. And we placed the majority of the staff on furlough. We kind of weighed out what we thought our best guess would be, cost of doing business to try to sell PPP. We didn't see it being real beneficial because we're a small business as well, family owned. Not enough people, I think, really turn that ship for us. Our database is all trade shows. It's all vice president of marketing. And so we decided to kind of roll up our windows and wait out the storm. We have some business going on with existing clients with some PPP stuff. Here recently, I don't know, a lot of you are familiar with ExhibitTrader.com. We do both new rentals, and we have a pre-owned marketplace where people can buy and sell pre-owned, like an eBay or an Auto Trader. Here recently, in the last 30 to 45 days, the listings have started picking up, which I found interesting. We hadn't had a phone call since March, basically. But in the last 30 to 45 days, the pre-owned listings are picking up. Now, whether that's people really prepared to purchase a new exhibit, or that's people that are exiting the trade show program altogether. We don't know. So, but we're waiting it out. We're waiting it out like everyone else, and I hope that SHOT Show is a beginner. I don't know there will be because of local regulations on meeting sizes, but that's where we're at.
Thanks, Chad. Rory, you've taken kind of a similar approach, haven't you?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I just, we got our PPP money, and I looked at it, and I was looking at everything that was going on, and it was like there was just no way that I was going to be able to keep everybody on staff, and with that amount of money, it was just, it was just going to be too long. So I furloughed everybody, including myself, and of course, I've been sitting here at my desk every day, doing stuff, being active, back office stuff. We're a strictly wholesale turnkey rental company in the exhibit industry. So our revenue is, other than a few graphic orders and just recently a 10 by 20 rental, it's been zero since March. We tore down ConExpo, and that was that. So we're just hunkering down, weathering the storm, trying to create more stuff to support our distributors once things reopen. Getting all my, when you're running a business, there's always things that you sort of push off to the side. So I've been taking care of all that kind of stuff. It was like 400. And just kind of waiting it out. So, of course, keeping in touch with my furloughed key employees, because they, once things start happening again, they're going to be really important to me. So that's kind of where I'm at, is just hoping this thing gets done sooner rather than later. But we're good. Hoping like Chad said, that SHOT happens. We've got some jobs there that are booked, so we're hoping they go through. Starting to, also like Chad said, starting to see a lot more activity. For a while there, I wasn't doing much at all that interacting with my distributors, but lately, I would say I probably worked on 5 quotes, 5 estimates the last week. So that's a big difference from April and May when nobody was calling. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it's interesting listening to all you guys, because we don't have any direct relationships with end users, none. I mean, everything that we do is through distributors. So I kind of looked at what we could offer during this shutdown, and I really came up with nothing. I just was like, we don't contact companies directly other than exhibit houses, and we don't do anything except set up our rental inventory. So it really kind of made us say, well, we're just going to have to stop and wait it out.
So now, Roy, you did make the decision to participate in the Together Again Expo in Dallas before it was shifted to January. Would you mind sharing why you decided you wanted to participate in that?
Partly I'm just really bored. I mean, over the weekend I was out helping a friend tear down his house because he's going to rebuild his house, and I didn't ask him to pay me or anything. I just wanted to go do something physically with my hands and go be around people. I haven't even got my hair cut. Just been kind of sitting here waiting, and it's part that, and partly I just feel like if I can help in any way with the momentum of our industry getting going again, I would feel pretty good about that. And that was really more what it was about than anything.
All right. Hey, Dave, I haven't heard from you. Would you care to share? Dave Mullins, are you there? How about you, Joan? Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you, Joan.
Sorry, my camera's not working, and I was on a call with the Wright-Patt Air Force Base Museum. kidding, Elwood. This is great because I feel such vindication that I'm not by myself. I really feel like we're all in the same boat and we're all doing the same thing, just trying to hang on, which, you know, I go up, I have up days and I have down days. Today's kind of a down day. So I was almost reticent to even come on to the call because I'm not going to have very many positive things to say, but we're just hanging on. You know, we're doing okay. We've got cash flow. That's all that matters.
Thank you, Joan. Dave, how about you? I think you tried to jump in there, but Joan was a little faster.
I was trying to turn my mic on there. So Dave Mullins with Show Image Displays. We're in Memphis, Tennessee, Mid-South area. And probably a little more in line with some of these last few speakers. We've really not had hardly anything going on. We're pretty much just have been 100% trade show, face-to-face marketing meetings, kind of built our business with free storage. Let us keep all of your displays here. Our showroom is full of client actual displays. We've sort of promoted that. Here's what we've actually done over all this time. And, you know, having control, of their displays in the showroom has helped us with new graphics, retrofits, upgrades, expand what you have. So anyway, that's kind of where we've been. So we've sort of just honestly been treading water, talking to clients. We have been talking about the social media aspect. We're a couple of elder statesmen here, I would say, and so dipping our toe in that water is a little bit daunting. And we spent some time trying to understand, you know, just what is a virtual trade show? How do you do a booth like that and offer that out to clients? But I feel like we probably were a little bit late trying to get on the PPE bandwagon there. Couple of companies here, I think, got out ahead of us. So we are seeing a little bit, we have some things, 2 or 3 display designs that we had done in February, March, and those are still in play, we think, according to the clients. But I think the thing that is, you know, we just struggle with so much is our clients don't know what they're going to do. Our existing client base and a couple of our larger ones have had a lot of reorganization during this time. A lot of the people we've known that we could reach out to are no longer there. So we are just paddling hard, treading water, I think. But we're seeing a little bit of activity. I got an order today for a client that's going to have a face-to-face show in November, and maybe do a little bit. So they're going to do a 10 by 20 space. So hopefully, you know, we're looking for any little ray of light we can find.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. Let me shift a little bit. I want to ask a slightly different question from the one I asked in the beginning, which is, what have you learned that you don't need? Is there anything that you've kind of discovered over the last really 6 or 7 months that you don't need? You want to raise your hand and share? Yes, Jerry.
We've got about a 40-yard container out in the back right now filled of stuff that we decided we no longer need. We tend to be pack rats, and I think that it's a good opportunity to prune the vine, as it were, and getting rid of stuff. It's amazing how good it feels to make room for whatever's coming next, kind of a thing. And not to mention, you know, by throwing stuff out in this warehouse, we make room for stuff that was presently or previously stored in another warehouse that was costing us money. So it's all about rationalization, right? We don't know how long this is going to last, so the more we can save, the longer we last, kind of a thing. So I encourage people, it's kind of a purge. It kind of feels good once it gets all done, to be honest.
All right. Anybody else? The only thing you found that you don't need? Yes, Tess. Tess, yes. Go ahead and click your mic, Tess.
Well, one of the things that I found out I don't need, I still want it, but I've been told by the owner that I don't need it, is this large storage space that we have that is full of people's booths that are not in business anymore. Very sad. I've got some really huge booths in there that I'll probably be putting on the market. But I had a long, hard time convincing the owners to do exhibit management and storage. And this has just proved to them that what a mistake it was, because now every single account that is in that, well, no, there's one that's not, but almost every account in that my storage is defunct.
Well, what Tess, if you want to sell a used booth, you know, there's someone on this call who'd be happy to sell it for you.
You think? That would be nice.
And apparently many people would be happy to sell it for you. All right.
But that in fact, as he was talking about, we actually took some of this time and did some remodel in our offices, because it was also started in 1951 and were two buildings combined. So we have taken this downtime to get a lot of things done that we needed doing for our interiors, which it's nice to have that kind of money, right? But other than that, we don't less salespeople. We don't think we need less anything else. We just need to try to figure out what the market is now.
Well, let me share, if I can, one of the things that at Classic we decided that we didn't need, and that was our bank. You know, we used to work with a two location. It was a regional bank. Regional only had two locations, and they were a great bank. It was very personal. We loved working with them, and we worked with them for about 10 years. But they were bought probably about 3 years ago by a larger bank in Seattle, and the relationship completely changed at that point. We weren't really important to them anymore, and we continued working with them because, you know, simply by default, and there's just a lot of work making a change in a bank, especially with an organization our side. But the pandemic kind of kicked us in the butt, and we looked for some other banks, and we made a change. We found a bank that actually does care about it and is making an effort to earn our business every day. The pandemic was a good excuse to do that for us. Hey, Jim, you haven't spoken. What are your thoughts?
There we go. Here we go. Well, not so much on what we don't need, but we definitely have been taking advantage of this time to kind of reorganize our warehouse, all of our rental inventory, and make that a lot more accessible when we do ramp back up. And then also our pricing. Everything on our website is now most of it is in our quoting system, which is going to make quoting a lot easier when we ramp back up. And the other thing is some additions to the website. We've added some new designs, but we've also gone through and added a ton of like crate dimensions. That's something that when our distributors are renting from us and getting quotes, they definitely need the crate estimates. So just anything we can do to kind of organize and make life easier when we do return to somewhat normal.
Yeah. Mr. Monroe, how about you? And if anybody wants to know, based on your hat, you're definitely from Fresno, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We're getting ready to have our first football game here in about 3 days, so we're excited. I just appreciate being able to listen in and hear what other people are going through. One question I have, I'm wondering, does anybody see any market at all if it's driven, and I know nobody wants to be in a race to get to the bottom of the dollar pit, but is there anything at all out there for fire sale displays? used displays? Is there a market at a price?
Chad, what do you think?
No, there's just like buying new exhibits or rental exhibits. Nobody's buying pre-owned exhibits either. We were so busy March 14th that we couldn't find our ass with both hands, and on March 15th the phone stopped ringing, and it hasn't really run since. Like I said, a few small projects with existing clients, but even on the pre-owned side, a tenth of what it usually is at most.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen, how about you? You've got your hand up.
Selling used exhibits is something we've dabbled in off and on for several years. And we have found that it is just not worth our time. It's interesting to hear all the people talking about cleaning out warehouses, because we've been doing that as well. We made an attempt, gosh, 3-4 summers ago. Like, we have old pop-ups, banner stands, hardware is good. We could put a new graphic in it, all kinds of tabletops. We couldn't resell them to save our lives. We have one client that has an old island booth that they wanted to sell, and it's like, hey, if you know someone, have at it, because especially in an island booth or really an inline, it's got to be right client, right time. And I think I heard someone else say it's almost like driving the car off the lot. It devalues the second it leaves. It hasn't panned out well at all for us. Seems like a great idea, but if anyone's had success, I'd love to know how, because we haven't been able to do it.
Chad, in a normal market, you have had a lot of success with that, haven't you?
Yes, we sell about 75%, 80% of the exhibits that are listed on our site. They get about 25 cents on the dollar, 20 to 30, 25 cents on the dollar is the average. We're a .com company. We have a large database. We do a lot of online marketing to attract those customers. There's a niche market. I will say, when it comes to portables, pop-ups, banner stands, we just rolled out a new website about a week before COVID hit. We spent $100,000 on the website, and here comes COVID. But we made the decision to no longer allow people to lift pop-ups, portable banner stands, and things like that, because with the influx of the Asian stuff, the foreign pop-ups, the foreign banner stands, the pre-owned banner stand just didn't have a marketplace. There just wasn't really a marketplace, because people, if they're looking for a discount banner stand, they're not really looking for quality. They're looking for something that's cheap, and they get a brand new one for what we were selling the used ones for. When it comes to custom exhibitry or modular exhibitry, big custom exhibits have their place. We sell 2 stories. We sell out of 2 stories. Every time a 2 stories listed, we sell out of those. Big custom island exhibits, they take a little longer to sell because they're big. Takes the right kind of buyer. Modular displays in the 10 by 10, 10 by 20, 20 by 20, those things sell like hotcakes, through our site. So it has been, we've been doing it now for 18 years and been pretty successful at it.
So Chad, So Chad, let me ask you a question, because I've never asked you about that business model, because I assume you both sell it, end users approach you and distributors approach you. So how did that business model work?
Yes, absolutely. We really set up exhibittrader.com like an eBay or an Auto Trader. We really are just the mechanism for you to list your display and get that exposure to the audience. I think a lot of the exhibit builders, manufacturers, distributors that come to us that successfully use our site, what they found when they were trying to market their own pre-owned, they only could market it to their clientele or their database that they had. Being number one in all search engines for used trade show displays really helps give us exposure. Plus, we have a large database that we directly market to. So exhibitors and trade show companies alike list their properties on our site. We help exhibitors in the fact that when they get questions about refurbished, rebranding, I&D, shipping, I'm a fourth family generation in this business. I've been doing it for 30 years. My father, who's my business partner, did it for 47 years. We could quickly look at an exhibit and give a client a real, like everybody here that's been in this business, we go, yeah, your price is going to be about right here to rebrand it, put new graphics on it, get it to show, get it set up. And then when we have exhibit companies list those booths, we actually ask the question, are you an exhibit company? So that we don't step on their toes, because we want them to get a sale. We want them to obtain a new client out of that. And there's been some exhibit companies that have really successfully used our site to sell their properties.
All right. Thanks, Chad. Well, we're getting here towards the end, the last 3 minutes. And Danielle, I'm going to pick on you because I've not heard from you today. Would you mind sharing some of your thoughts, some of your experiences over the last 5 or 6 months? You're on mute, Danielle. Thank you.
I too am in the same boat with everyone else. I'm an account executive, new business development in Boston, New England area. Half of our business is installation and dismantle labor, and then the other half is exhibits and events. So I'm the exhibit and event side, and my biggest challenge has definitely been that database. So I just want to sell something. I want to be involved in projects. I've looked at all these other avenues, the restaurant chains. I haven't looked into factories, but the schools, the museums, I feel because I have not had those relationships already, it's been hard to sell what we have or what we can offer. I am starting to go back to all of my trade show companies because they are starting to say that they do plan on having trade shows open the second, third, fourth quarter of 2021. So I have been doing some budgets, and I'm reintroducing the virtual exhibits because I think it's going to stay either way. And the challenge with them is all the marketing people are having to deal with the show managers now, reinventing the wheel for every single virtual show that they are attending right now. And it's something that is consuming their time. So I did speak with Mel last week or the week before, and there's a good channel there just reintroducing that virtual to them because it is going to stay around for the next 6 months or forever. And they're doing 3 times the work that they would normally do of having us be their expert doing all their programs, their trade show programs. So I am going to start reintroducing that and still just work on the databases so that we're not putting everything into one basket. We have done a couple. We had the opportunity to do the hospital at the convention center, so that was a good job that we had. And we also got this strange glamping labor contract that's been keeping a lot of the labor, well, a good 40 people open and working for the last 3 months up in Maine. So that was something weird that we've never done before, but it works. We have some people doing something. Yeah, but just solely events, I think it's time to reintroduce virtual again.
All right, thanks, Danielle. I noticed that in the conversation section, someone asked when everyone thinks the market will return. I think that's probably an hour-long conversation if we dive into it, when it will come back. And I think we're all kind of guesstimating with when the vaccine will be on the market, because until the vaccine's on the market, companies will continue to be nervous about sending people on trips, unfortunately. It is, you hope that the smaller, the one thing that'll happen, one of the things that I'd like us to maybe to talk about in our November meeting, which will be on November, sorry, I'm going to turn around for you, which will be on November 17th, is where we think trade shows are going. Where do they think, what kind of changes we can expect in trade shows? And I've got lots of opinions about them. I'm happy to share those, but I'd love to hear from you whether the actual event it's not only that the events may change, but where they happen may change as far as smaller markets. How will the general service contractors, will they be more flexible, more adaptable? Will the show organizers have to make concessions in order to get people back to the show? I think there's a lot to talk about there. as we approach shows reopening. All right. Anybody have any last thought? We're a few minutes past our hour. Yes, Francine.
Just in relations, going back to Danielle's talk about virtual displays and virtual trade shows, we put out a survey to our clients last week about attending. We had maybe 4 questions about have they attended a virtual show, have they exhibited a virtual show, if no, why not, was it budget, all different questions. And we received a lot of good answers, and we're having a town hall meeting with about 20 of our clients next week on Zoom.
That's a great idea.
And just to get their input as to what they're looking for, because ultimately is what we want to do is serve them and fill their needs. So we just want to hear what they're looking for. And similar to what Danielle said, the few clients the clients I've spoken to that attended virtual shows or exhibited has been so much work for them, an amazing amount of work. So we're going to maybe offer to do that for them if they don't want to get a virtual display. So we're just going to do the town hall meeting next week. We have 20 clients signed up already and see what happens, what kind of response we get from them.
I think that's a great challenge for all of us to see if we can't kind of come with, use that kind of thought, Francine, as far as having a town hall meeting with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. Thank you very, very much for participating today. Again, our next meeting will be November 17th. I'll send out an invitation to you. If you have topics other than the one that I just suggested that you'd like to cover, please let me know. And I am so grateful for your time today. It was very, very enjoyable. I appreciate seeing everyone and hearing you. Thanks.
Thank you.